Welcome to Verbal Pick Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. I'd like to welcome you all to the show. Since today is President's Day, we want to get into a little bit of American history, specifically dealing with the early Americas before the Constitution was written. Now, if you Google George Washington and the Moor, or the Moor that's in the picture with George Washington, you will see a picture of George Washington and a black man, a Moor, usually dressed in the Islamic headgear or head wrap. And he's either on a horse or he's standing by a horse. This Moor, and the reason why he's with the horse, because the horse, and you may have heard Minister Farrakhan state that the horse is considered one of the learned animals, or the smartest. And so he's the Moor standing by the horse looking at George Washington as if he's giving him instructions. But not only did he give George Washington instructions, he also gave Benjamin Franklin instructions. And he also gave Francis Bacon's instructions, Benjamin Franklin instructions, Thomas Jefferson these were the Moors. They were also the ones responsible for creating the first draft, or the first flag of America. So I want to get into a little something. This is the mysterious Rosicrucian, who was the father of the American Republic. Chapter 11 from Great Secret, Count Saint Germain. This is by Raymond Bernard. Right? This is important because Black history and President's Day, it all goes hand in hand. In fact, the first president and the black man that's on back of the $2 bill is John Hanson, who was the president before the signing of the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. This was John Hanson. Though be it in time, they began to paint him white. Well, he started off black, but you know, we understand how that happened. All right. It says, throughout his life, Francis Bacon's fondest hope was the creation of a utopia across the Atlantic, the realization of his new Atlantis in the form of a society of free men governed by sages and scientists. Stop right there. Francis Bacon's hope for this America was to create a utopia, or the new Atlantis in the Americas, right? Because he wanted freedom for men leaving Europe, coming to the Americas. And the people who left were outcasts, vagabonds, criminals, coming to America to build America. And he wanted to create a utopia or a new Atlantis with these people and have freedom for all men, right? And he also stated that he wanted it to be governed by sages and scientists. And so that means that by sages and scientists, it means that that the study of science or mathematics would be the order of the day. Let's say things would have to be proven, and there would be little room for speculation. Okay, in which his Freemasonic and Rosicrucian principles would govern the social, political, and economic life of the new nation. Meaning he wanted Freemasonic and Rosicrucian principles to govern the social fabric of America, the political fabric of America, and the economic life of the new nation. Why? Because if you go back to the Crusades, the Knights Templars were loaning money to governments, and researched that whole history. Right. It was for this reason why, as Lord Chancellor, he took such an active interest in the colonization of America, Francis Bacon, and why he sent his son to Virginia as one of the early colonists, for it was in America through the pen of Thomas Paine and the writing of Thomas Jefferson, as well as through the revolutionary activities of his many Rosicrucian Freemasonic followers, most prominent among whom were George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, that he hoped to create a new nation dedicated to his political philosophy. Mind you, another term for Masons is Muslim sons. The Moors gave the colonizers a percentage or degrees of knowledge when they were in the caves or coming out the caves of the Caucasus Mountains, gave them knowledge and lifted them up and put them under the titles of Muslim sons or Freemasons or free man sons, right? Or free maid sons, right? So they can be able to move in a civilized manner in order to come among the righteous or the upright ones, right? Okay. Now, in his Secret Destiny of America, Manly Hall, Bacon's most understanding modern scholar, refers to the appearance in America prior to the signing of the Declaration of Independence in 1776 of a mysterious Rosicrucian philosopher. He was a strict vegetarian who ate only foods that grew above the ground, who was a friend and teacher of Franklin and Washington, and who seemed to have played an important role in the founding of the new republic. While most historians fail to mention him is a puzzle, for that he existed is a certainty. Now, this one with a vegetarian. Now, look, there was no known vegetarianism was in widespread practice in Europe. Vegetarianism was widespread practice in the East, whether it be Africa or Middle East and the Islamic societies during that time. Christians coming out of Europe was not. So if Saint Germain was the professor, then that means that he was taught by the Moors, or Saint Germain was a black Moor himself. Let's put it like that. He was known as the professor. Together with Franklin and Washington, he was a member of the committee selected by the Continental Congress in 1775 to create a design for the American flag. The design he made was accepted by the committee and given to Betsy Ross to execute in the first model. So Betsy Ross didn't come up with the flag. This mysterious, quote-unquote, professor who I'm saying declared if he was black or if it was Saint Germain, he was taught by black Moors or Muslims. The flag unfurled at Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1775, which the professor designed, symbolized the union of the colonies. It was called the Grand Union Flag, and its design was as follows. In the blue field of the upper left-hand corner was the white diagonal cross of St. Andrews. Imposed on this was the red cross, which was given the name of St. George. The 13 stripes, 7 of red and 6 of white, alternating in the flag, represented the 13 colonies. The flag was used for some time, but due to this is so close to the British flag, I'm gonna read that part, but it was so close to the British flag that the people didn't want it, so they had to come up with a new flag. And Betsy Ross, she added her take on it because she liked certain parts of it, and and now we have the flag. But I just want to read this part though. Okay, hold on. I'll read right. Okay. In 1776, it was decided to design another flag, which would follow the spirit of the original design and the inverted triangle over the upright triangle, generally known as the St. Andrew's Cross, a Masonic symbol of Kabbalistic origin, and denoting that the originator of the flag was a Freemason and Rosicrucian, was preserved by using a six-pointing star placed in an irregular fashion on a blue background in the form of a new constellation. Okay. Now, America it's starting to come into play. Francis Bacon, really the idea was to create America. The idea for Francis Bacon of America would be a new Atlantis ruled by science, by scientific, I don't want to say theories, but methods. Let's say methods. Now, a second time that this mysterious stranger, the professor, whose name and origin was unknown, right? But they trying to see, just like John Hanson was black, now all of a sudden John Hanson is white. Now all of a sudden the Moors was the professor, now all of a sudden it's a white Saint Germain. But, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. Okay. This time it was at the sign of the Declaration of Independence. It was on June 7, 1776, that Richard Henry Lee, a delegate from Virginia, offered in Congress the first resolution declaring that the United Colonies were and of right ought to be free and independent states. Soon after Mr. Lee introduced his resolution, he was taken sick and returned to his home in Virginia, whereupon on June 11, 1776, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston were appointed as committees to prepare a formal declaration of independence. On the 1st of July, 1776, the committee made its report to Congress. On the 2nd of July, Lee's resolution was adopted in its original words. During the 3rd of July, the formal Declaration of Independence was reported by the committee and debated with great enthusiasm. The discussion was resumed on the 4th, Jefferson having been elected as chairman of the committee. On July 4th, there was a great suspense throughout the nation. Many were adverse to severing the ties with the mother country, and many feared the vengeance of the king and his armies. Many battles had been fought already, but no decisive victory had been won by the rebel colonists. Each man in the Continental Congress realized, as Patrick Henry did, that it was either liberty or death. A rash move could mean death. After all, they were not free, but subjects of a king who considered them as rebels and could punish them accordingly. They could be convicted for treason and put to death. Now, here's a people who were outcasts, who were criminals, who come to a foreign land, North America, the queen wanted and king wanted new territories to rule over. So they empty their jails. They come to the Americas, right? Kill off the Native Americans, right? Establish themselves, now they create a new government in these lands. Then they say, well, we will fight against the British because we want to be free. But the king said, y'all not free. You all are rebels. You left. We can have you all killed at any time. But they united and fought against the British. And you would think after all that fighting for their freedom, they would understand the plight of black people in America. Wow. That's wild. Let me continue. Writing on this subject matter, P. Hall says, many times the question has been asked, was Francis Bacon's vision of the new Atlantis a prophetic dream of the great civilization which was so soon to rise upon the soil of the New World? It cannot be doubted that the secret societies of Europe conspired to establish upon the American continent a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Two incidents in the early history of the United States evidence the influence of that secret body, which has so long guided the destinies of peoples and religions. By them nations are created as vehicles for the promulgation of ideas. And while nations are true to these ideas they serve, when they vary from them, they vanish like the Atlantis of old, which had ceased to know the gods. Now he's saying the reason why Atlantis vanished because they ceased to know the gods and the gods' will. And when anytime a nation does that and they want to come up with their own ideas and their own will, then the nation is no more. It's been going on since the beginning of the time. But the bigger question is, why man be set on the right course, but in that journey in time, they deviate and sink the ship? What is that? That's the free will guiding, or is it greed? Who knows? But hey, it is what it is. It's been going on since the beginning of time. Now look. Now I want to read. I gotta go somewhere because I want to read. Hold on, let me get to it right. I want to get to. Okay, here we go. I want to read a little bit of the speech of the unknown. And the reason why I'm doing this just to get you all familiar with what he's saying, to show you that he's speaking with knowledge and wisdom coming out of the ancient African mystery system, or the Egyptian mystery system, which is Egypt is in Africa, showing that the wisdom and knowledge of Africa or the original people is all up in this thing. You know, it has to be pointed out. Now, check this out. By signing the Declaration, which is just talking about the Declaration of Independence, all were guilty of high treason under British law. The penalty for high treason was to be hanged by the neck until unconscious, then cut down and revived, then disemboweled and cut into quarters. The head and quarters were at the disposal of the crown. That was their law. Man, no wonder they wavered. No wonder they discussed back and forth for days on end before signing the document that carried so grave a penalty. An old legend dramatized the story of the one who galvanized the delegates and gave them the courage to sign that document. Right now, what it's saying is, whether the guy was a Moor, I believe he was a Moor because of the characteristics that describe the person, and it was not the characteristics of a European. Let's put it like this. But the question being is, why did he fight so hard to help them establish the Americas in the United States? Could it be he was on course, or he was on course of fulfilling prophecy, which gave the European 6,000 years to rule, so he had to set up to continue that time period? I don't know. Could be. But we'll keep going, right? Now, this is the speech of the unknown. Gibbet, they may stretch our necks on all the gibbets in the land. They may turn every rock into a scaffold, every tree into a gallows, every home into a grave, and yet the words of the parchment can never die. Meaning the words that's on this Declaration of Independence I get ready to sign, it'll never die. They may pour our blood on 1,000 scaffolds, and yet from every drop that dies the axe or drips on the sawdust of the block, a new martyr to freedom will spring into birth. Now look, they telling you the price they had to pay to get freedom from the British. And then went around and enslaved the black. What the hell? And went and enslaved them. After you fought all this for freedom. Anyway, the British king may blot out the stars of God from his sky, meaning he can send all these cannons in the sky. Now check this out. That's why people was upset with the flag, that third verse. You know, because they were saying, oh, glory was still there. But he was saying, hell, no hireling can save the slave from his grave, meaning we fighting this war, but you ain't finna free these slaves, though. Okay. Yeah. The British king may blot out the stars of God from his sky with his cannon and fight. We know what that means. But he cannot blot out his words written on the parchment there. The works of God may perish, his word never. These words will go forth to the world when our bones are dust. To the slave in the mines they will speak. Look, to the slave in the mines, they will speak hope to the mechanic in his workshop. Freedom to the coward kings, these words will speak, but not in tones of flattery. No, no, they will speak like the flaming syllables on Belshazzar's wall. Wait, do y'all believe that? To the slave in the mines, these words will speak. I guess they say, you're going to hear these words to speak to you, but we ain't going to free you, though. Okay. The days of your pride and glory are numbered. Now, see, now it's reversed. Now, these are the words that the slaves were saying to his slave master, his colonizer, his oppressor. The ones who settled in America took those words and used it against the British for their freedom. Then these are the words that's reverse of the slaves to the colonizers who colonized or who enslaved the black people in America. Check this out. Same thing. Yes. All right, the days of judgment and revolution draw near. Yes, that parchment will speak to the kings in a language sad and terrible as the trump of the archangel. You have trampled on mankind long enough. And that's what they're saying today. Let me read that again. You have trampled on mankind long enough. At last the voice of human woe has pierced the ear of God and called his judgment down. You have waited on to thrones over seas of blood. You have trampled on to powers over the necks of millions. You have turned the poor man's sweat and blood into robes for your delicate forms, into crowns for your anointed brows. Now kings, now purple hangmen of the world, for you come the day of axes and gibbets and scaffolds, for you the wrath of man, for you the lightnings of God. Look how the light of your palaces on fire flashes up into the midnight sky. Now purple hangmen of the world, turn and beg for mercy. Where will you find it? Not from God, for you have blasphemed his laws. Not from the people, for you stand baptized in their blood. Here you turn and lo, a gibbet. There and a scaffold looks you in the face. All around you dead and nowhere pity. Now executioners of the human race, kneel down. Yes, kneel down upon the sawdust of the scaffold. Lay your perfumed heads upon the blocks. Bless the axe as it falls, the axe that you sharpen for the poor man's neck. Such is the message of the declaration to man, to the kings of the world. And shall we falter now? And shall we start back appalled when our feet press the very threshold of freedom? Do I see quarreling faces around me when our wives have been butchered? When the hearthstone of our land are when the hearthstones of our land are red with the blood of little children? What are these shrinking hearts and flattering voices when the very dead of our battlefields arise and call us to sign the parchment, meaning Declaration of Independence, or be accursed forever? Sign, if the next moment of the gibbet's rope is round your neck. Sign, if the next moment this hall rings with the echo of the falling axe. Sign, by all your hopes in life, debt as husbands, as fathers, as men. Sign your names to the parchment or be accursed forever. Sign, and not only for yourself, but for all ages. For the parchment will be the textbook of freedom, the Bible of the rights of men forever. The Declaration for them was supposed to be the Bible for rights for men forever. Black folks, he telling you the attitude you have to have for freedom. Sign for that declaration will go forth to American hearts forever and speak to those hearts like the voice of God. And his work will not be done until throughout this wide continent, not a single inch of ground owns the sway of a British king. Nay, do not start and whisper with surprise. It is a truth. Your own hearts witness it. God proclaims it. This continent is the property of a free people and their property alone. God, I say, proclaims it. Look, they saying America is the property of a free people. Okay. Look at this strange history of a band of exiles and outcasts. Right? That's who came to the America. They're telling you. Look at this strange history of a band of exiles and outcasts suddenly transformed into a people. Look at this wonderful exodus of the oppressed of the old world into the new world, where they came weak in arms but mighty in God-like faith. Nay, look at this history of your Bunker Hill, your Lexington, where a band of plain farmers mocked and trampled down the panoply of British arms. And then tell me, if you can, that God has not given America to the free. I'm going to stop right there. I can't read no more. I can't read no more. You telling me that all the fighting that was did for freedom, but yet had the audacity to go in Africa and bring slaves forth to America, to enslave the natives, the aborigines, the indigenous people of America, put them in chains, and have them as servants, when you yourself knew the horrors of being in bondage by the British, but you turn around and, hey, it is what it is on this President's Day. But I just wanted to read some of that to you all, so you can be abreast and have that characteristic, that attitude of a free people. That's why one of the greatest things, there's so many that the minister said, but one of the greatest things the minister said was, walk heavy on the earth. Stop walking around here like you a slave and, can't look folk in the eye and worry about what people going to do to you, and walk heavy on the earth. Walk tall. Don't walk with your back all bent up. Walk straight up. This is Black history. Study all of this is what I'm saying. That's why when they say American history is Black history is American history. It's intertwined. And when we say Black, I'm talking about from the Moors to the Egyptians to the blacks that came here from Africa to the Black Native Americans and all that. In the Americas, and I'm not just talking about North America. I'm talking about South and Central too, from Brazil to from Brazil to Veracruz, Mexico, from my man Ganga Zumba to Gaspar Yanga to John Horse. Research all those people. Google some of this what I just said, because it's free. It's open to the public. It's no secret. There's nothing to hide. Anyone can research this information. But I'm just saying is that on this show, on Verbal Pick Radio, this show, we're not trying to be the most popular show. We just want to give information to help better your lives and coming from root knowledge. As I always state, listen to this show will make you amongst the smartest people on the planet. Verbal Pick Radio, we're out.